What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Society of Biblical Literature Conference. Let me know if you can hear me. This is the first time I'm using this this setup here at the conference. I have a special dedicated internet connection. Looks like I got one person on right now. So whoever's on, maybe that's just me. Let me know if you can hear me. I got my exhibitor badge, and I have been setting up all day. Lesson learned, you got to start the setup pretty early in the morning. Oh, hey, Mandy, what's up? Can you hear me okay, Mandy? You're my one early live stream audience that can tell me if you can hear me. So yeah, let me, when more people join, I'll give you a little 360 with my camera that I'm using to live stream. But basically, I think I got up. It opened at 8:30, and that's when all the smart people show up at 8:30. And great, yeah, all the smart people show up. And oh, what's up, Nick, over in Cyprus? Yasas, Stigi bro, and Apodigi bro. So yeah, I should have showed up at 8:30, but I didn't. I slept as long as I could just so I would be. How is the gift bag? I didn't. Yeah, they have a tote bag. I didn't even get it. I was like, I showed up with a really huge suitcase that had all of my stuff in it, and with my monitor. So I was like, my suitcase in one hand, my monitor in another hand, and as you can see, I have the posters behind me. So I got my Greek pronunciation poster, my timeline poster, and yeah. Basically, the answer is I don't know what the gift bag has in it yet. I have to. Still have to go get mine. But today was just the day that is the first day that exhibitors get to set up. So that's what I've done. Actually, you know what? I'll do an initial sort of 360. So you can see that's the row there. So I'm next to Bloomsbury and some other publishers. And then if you go that way, got a full 360. This is my banner. And there's my monitor, my handy cable management box, my stress ball, and then I got the and my biggest drama today was that this whole thing was like way too very, very expensive, and it was like a big investment. And the one and I'm skimping, right? Like I look around, everybody has like fully pimped out booths, right? They got like lots of little tables, and all this stuff costs money. They like the venue charges you for like everything, and what I ended up doing was I decided I was going to not buy their like $400 carpet. All these options for carpet, and the option was either get their carpet, order something on your own like carpet tile or something like that, and then if or the alternative is don't get anything and have like bare concrete. And the bare concrete is what I have currently under my table. But basically, my friends over at Biblingo, shout out to Nick and all the team over at Biblingo, Kevin Grosso, like they ordered carpet and carpet tile. I don't know, like they doubled up, and they were intending on putting their carpet tile on top of the carpet. Because the carpet they got is like it's not particularly nice carpet, and they pulled through because the venue came to my booth and was like, you need carpet, and so either fork over the dough and pay for carpet, or we're not going to allow you to do bare concrete where nobody's doing that. So I was going to be like probably the only booth with bare concrete, and as a statement to be like, we're frugal, but it didn't work. So they forced me to make a decision. I was just going to like Uber around Boston, like looking for carpet tile. It was going to be a massive disruption to my day. I wouldn't have been able to do this live stream. I would have been doing that right now if it weren't for the nice people at Biblingo that had this carpet tile. And I booked a booth right next to them because just because they're cool. They're official affiliates. Bare carpet. I love it. Yeah. Homophones. There we go. If I were actually typing that, I probably would type it incorrectly because, as Mandy has identified, I do struggle with English orthography, more so than I do with orthography in a lot of foreign languages that I know. You know, I spell better in Spanish and Greek and English. I'm sorry, Spanish, Greek, Russian. All of those languages have easier spelling rules than English. Oh, you're in Boston. Oh, you could have bought me. You know, so last night I went to visit Dr. Carl Ruck, who lives in Hull, and that's a whole story of how I was like, I got a couple of hours sleep on the plane, and I was gonna, you know, go visit him at his house and hold court with him. And I thought, you know, he said he lived in Boston, and it was like supposed to be close by, and oh, thank you. Would have been an honor. So yesterday I went. I was on the verge of canceling when I found out that like the way I needed to get to his house was like go all the way to like, you know, get a ferry basically and like ride a ferry boat to this island or this peninsula that he lives in, Hull. And so, but then it was explained to me like exactly how to get, you know, I got to go to Long Wharf and then get on the ferry to go to Hull. And then his house is like really close to there. So I was exhausted. I only like slept a couple of hours on a red eye flight. And I just figured, you know what, I mean, like when else am I going to get the opportunity to do that? So I got on the ferry, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. You know, and it's like, I'm in Boston. I don't come to Boston that often. This is, I think, my third time in Boston. So it felt like I should get around and see some things. And so, you know, I went on a little quest yesterday to visit Dr. Ruck and you know, chat with him about ancient Greek. Yeah, I think I like the Fairy fairy spelling. So I had a great evening. I had dinner with Dr. Ruck, and we talked about ancient Greek and other nerdy stuff. And then, yeah, I just got as much sleep as I could to get ready to come here, and I had no idea what this whole setup would be like. And if I knew, I would have had breakfast earlier. I had breakfast. Let's see, I had breakfast at like 8:30, right next to Bart Ehrman. So I got to introduce myself to Bart Ehrman and tell him about Cross Bible. Of course, like I am engaged in the practice of just like jumping on people when I see them here. And that's what I did with, so this morning I was rolling my suitcase and carrying my monitor, and I had to carry the monitor with like two or three fingers, and then like hold my poster boards, because these two posters, they're like clipped to poster boards. So I had the poster boards with like two fingers like this, the monitor with three fingers, rolling my suitcase. And it was, you know, it wasn't too heavy. It was just like I had to take breaks. Like I would just sort of go like maybe 30-40 feet, take a break. And then I saw Emmanuel Tove walking by me. And Emmanuel Tove is like this big scholar of the, you know, the Septuagint. He's an older gentleman, but like, you know, very influential scholar of the Greek Septuagint and the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I stopped him immediately. It was just like I couldn't go by. So I had my suitcase and all this stuff, and I jumped on him, and I was just like, Dr. Tove, I have to tell you about Cross Bible. And you know, my angle is, because I have this booth now, I can actually tell people. I don't have to necessarily deliver the full, like I can give them an elevator pitch and then tell them, you know, if you're going to be on the showroom floor, please come visit. So that's the angle that I have, is, you know, just give people the short and sweet version, which is really hard for me to do because I ramble, and then tell them to come to my booth. The booth is not, it's not the best placement. You know, I wanted to get just placement. I just wanted to be next to the guys at SBL, and sure enough, it paid off to be next to the guys at SBL, because like they had the carpet tiles I needed. So these are the tiles, right? Oh, and so this, and this is the, I have a steamer. So I got the steamer from the hotel, and I'm so exhausted. I haven't eaten anything all day, except breakfast. I ate after breakfast. So I'm going to have dinner with a friend of mine that lives in the area. So I'm going to use this steamer to steam. If you see the thumbnail for this, that's the picture of how my booth looks. So I have this runner, looks like this. And this runner is very wrinkled, and well, I steamed out some of the wrinkles this morning, and in the hotel, and now I just have a few more wrinkles to steam out in order for this to be like done and done. Like, so my cable management is on point. I got my monitor, my so I have this pop-up banner, right? You can't see the front of it from here, but this is the, well, that's, yeah, that's the pop-up banner. So I have this pop-up banner, and it's the spring that loads this thing is really tight. Hello. The spring that loads this thing is really tight. So you got to like pull the thing up and hook it to the top so that it stays, and it's pretty high. But like if that hook doesn't get in the exact right position, it just like rolls back up instantaneously. Hey sissy, good to see you. Yeah, instantaneously. And yeah, Neil posted about Dr. Ruck. Now that wasn't an interview. I offered to interview him. I brought my camera. I was ready to go. I had my lav mics. I was going to interview him, but like it was, a Thursday night. He was not ready for an interview, so didn't get to interview him, but got some good feedback. So anyways, I've kind of ruined that banner. Unfortunately, there are a couple of places on, like, because it didn't clip right and it rolled up. And I filmed this too. I've been vlogging this whole thing, by the way. So you guys are gonna get, like, I'm already sort of organizing the footage. So every day I'm here like vlogging and documenting this whole process from beginning to end. So you guys can, so I can share it as like a big, sort of travel vlog documentary at the end of this. So I documented the reveal of my like signage. So I have this table sign that literally it does not, like, for some reason, and I don't know, maybe if you know in the chat how this is supposed to work, please tell me. But when you pop this, put this on a table, it just goes clunk. Like there's no, like, the angle is just not, like, you see, it would never stand up straight. Like it needs to be like that. Maybe I need to click into place. Wait, did that fix it? I heard a click. No, it just falls over right away. So I got to get something to like prop it up from the back. That's currently, I think that is the worst thing that I'm dealing with right now, is just that thing not standing on its own. I've been propping it up with the steamer. So that's what's happening. When are you going to Greece again? I think I'm going to Greece in, I don't know. I don't know. Probably December. Probably in a few weeks, actually. I'll probably be in Greece. If not in December, maybe in January. But I have some business to attend to in Greece. I usually do, and that's what I'm going to be going. Tape it down. No, it's going to look ugly. If I can put something, there are a variety of things I need to figure out what to put behind it to keep it up. Obviously not the steamer, but taping it. If I were to tape it down, I'd have to tape the front end. But there's like this sort of vinyl top on the. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's the solution. Very Mission Impossible looking camera. Yeah, so I brought the camera. So for the new people who are on, you can see. Let me give you another 360 view. So this is not like the live. So like it's not open yet. So the showroom is going to be open on Saturday. So tomorrow morning is when it opens. Actually, you know what? Let me see. Let me give you guys actually a better look. Yeah, get a little mobile. Okay, wait. Let me see how much. I want to see how much play I have on my HDMI cable so I don't sever the connection. All right. Let me see how high I can go. Getting on my chair, and I can't quite get over the thing without. That's all the play I have. But that is the SBL showroom, and we're kind of, if anybody is at SBL, obviously come to booth 812 and come say hi. But when you get into the showroom, you know, you have to take when you go in from the first entrance that you typically enter from, there is an entrance that's going to be closer to here, but basically like you're walking, there's the first entrance on the left. You can go in the showroom there, but then you got to take a right and go all the way like pretty close to the end to get to where we are. So it's not like prime real estate on the showroom floor. It's kind of a little far off, but again, we're right next to Biblingo, so they're our friends, they're our affiliates. Love those guys, love the work they do. Go sign up for Biblingo, please. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put this in the comments. Biblingo, 10% off. Use the promo code CrossBible10. That is the promo code. So you can get 10% off of Biblingo. They are affiliates, and that helps us at Cross Bible, and it helps you learn Hebrew and Greek. I'm using it for Hebrew because it's a little under my level at Greek. There's some good review opportunities there, but I'm actually more interested in having my son do it in Greek. So when my son comes, my son Daniel is going to come to the showroom on Sunday, most likely, maybe Monday. And I want to introduce him to the guys at Biblingo to say, hey, like, you know, he's going to be advertising for Biblingo as soon as I can get him to focus and actually do the Biblingo exercises. That's another thing, is because, you know, Greek is his native language and he goes to Greek school. So he already has Greek homework. And I don't know if anybody knows, like, there are probably some 7-year-olds that would be happy to take on an extracurricular activity like that. But for him, it's like, he already does Greek in school. So for him to like do ancient Greek on top of that, you know, on a platform, like, I mean, if I have him doing like Duolingo, for example, that kind of just reinforces what he already knows. So, you know, and Duolingo is a bit, it's very gamified. So I think for a 7-year-old, you know, what Biblingo is doing right now is I think they've received a lot of feedback from people like wondering how to get their kids to use the platform to learn Greek and Hebrew. And I think they realize that there is a sort of opportunity there, you know, just a business opportunity for parents to subscribe so that their kids will learn. And just, I think it's good, you know, it's just good overall for kids to learn, you know, the biblical languages or learn ancient languages, learn Greek and Latin and Hebrew. You know, that was my idea of, you know, raising my kid like trilingual, because he speaks Russian with his mom and he speaks English. Obviously, he gets English at school. But, you know, I wanted him to have Greek as a native language. And, you know, and I was talking with Dr. Ruck about this, because Dr. Ruck was telling me that he, you know, I was kind of like probing his background a little bit. It would have been great if I got it on camera. You know, he really has an interesting life story of talking about how he initially got into psychology, and he was studying to be a psychologist. And it was like one person who changed his destiny, who told him like psychology is not really, you know, like if he said, you know, if you're studying psychology, you're focused mainly on the mind or the minds of people who have problems, who have issues, right? Like you want to figure out how to make people better. But what you really should be focused on is the minds of people that are already, who have it all there, right? And those people are the Greek philosophers and like the Greek writers and like in classical, you know, cultures. That's why he ended up studying, you know, changing his major and focusing on ancient Greek that he studied at Yale, because somebody told him like to get out of transition from psychology to ancient Greek. So that was an interesting part of his story. So what I was saying is that, you know, it's good for kids to, you know, I was telling him that it's good for, you know, I wanted my kid to grow up with the tools already in place, right? Like teach him the language, so he just has it, you know, because like I wish I had that when I was a kid, and unfortunately I think, you know, it tends to have the opposite effect when you force your kids to do something and you tell them like, you know, you like make them, you know, they tend, if they grow up with a language that's not the minority language, they really need a lot of external confirmation for people to, you know, like they basically kids are going to speak the language of their peers, right? They're going to speak whatever language they encounter at school and on the playground. And so if you bring them home and try to impose a foreign language at home that like that their parents speak or their grandparents speak, it's not cool. Like, you know, they start picking, I think it started around 4, really, like the kind of Americanization, right? Where you start to just identify as like, you know, and I'm saying American because we're raising our kid in America, but obviously if you raise your kid in any country, you know, the majority language of that country is going to be their native language. And, you know, then you just have to deal with that and proceed accordingly. So, so I may have actually had the opposite effect of like, okay, like I've given him that language as the native language, but then it's not the, you know, it's it now has the stigma attached to it because you're like, you know, and this is just about me, like anybody that does this, that, you know, wants their child to speak their language, if it's not the majority language, or the, you know, or their spouse, you know, like whatever, if one of the parent has a language that they want the kid to speak growing up, you're robbing the kid of the opportunity of then discovering that language as an adult or as a teenager or whatever, like, you know, when he's a bit older, and actually learning a foreign language completely from scratch, where you don't have it already pre-programmed in your head as a native language. That also has a lot of value, right? So either you're picking it up as a kid because the kids have this amazing like language learning capacity, or you just you have the opportunity to just study it from scratch. And learning foreign languages from scratch also, you know, there's a heavy lift in the beginning stages, but, you know, eventually it pays off. So let's see what else. If anybody in the chat has trade room, you know, sort of trade show experience, and they have any pointers, like I would definitely be open to that. I think the one thing that I'm thinking that somebody gave me, I got a few, you know, nice pieces of advice from people who had trade show experience. One person said, make sure you put something else on your table so it's not dry. She said, like, bring flowers to make it look nice. I don't have any room for flowers or anything. I don't have room for anything. Like, so I got my computer here. I got the pop-up sign. I got the monitor, and all my cable management is in the box behind the monitor. So, and you know, and I have, so I have these. Yeah. So let me show you. Brochures. Let's see. Mandy asking for a friend. How young of a Greek student are you willing to take? My friend, I mean, brother and niece, she came home from school asking about Dionysus. Kids these days. Yeah. I have taken, young is, you know, so yeah, I mean, I've been teaching Greek to children for 7 years, right? Like, I mean, to a child. So I've been, you know, I know how the language learning process works at different stages of kids, and I'm good at like dealing with their attention span. What I don't have right now is just the bandwidth to take on. Like right now, I am not doing any private lessons. So that's the biggest problem, is that if I were to do private lessons, it would have to be like group lessons that would make it, you know, reasonable financially to dedicate the time. And right now I just like, I'm slammed. But in general, yeah, like I think when the platform becomes more popular and I'm getting more requests, because I had a good cohort of like my early Greek students who eventually I was able to combine them in a group lesson. So it was sort of like a better use of everyone's time. And it was great, but then the government shutdown, you know, created some financial issues for some of my students, and you know, and it just it's tough. Like I don't blame people for quitting. You know, it's like sometimes you just sometimes it's good to take a break, right? Sometimes you just got to like quit temporarily. You just have to make sure you always go back to it. And I'm, you know, like I can't really complain about people who you know, like I quit French. So like I was studying French for a few years and I just failed to maintain it, right? So I think if I have a Greek student who ends up doing the same, where they study, and then like they get a certain foundation and then they quit because it's like, whatever, there's a certain, you need feedback, right? You need like a reward system. Like if you're not going to Greece and you're not really using it, It's tough if you're not like, super dedicated to a piece of literature, like, the Bible or, a classical literature. You need constant reinforcement. So that's my philosophy on language learning. Now, we have, so this is the brochure that I have on the table here. And there was a little mix up with the brochure. So I documented all of this in my vlog because I filmed myself going to pick up these brochures, and I filmed my reaction opening the brochure. So the problem is that my designers did a great job, but it was designed to be a Z fold, right? Like Z. And this is something, again, this is the first time I've ever done a trade show like this. So I had no idea how to even make a brochure. Like everything is new. So I got, so this is the front. This was always supposed to be the front. And what you were supposed to have is the back side with the QR code. And then in the middle section was going to have like a brief sort of background on me, our partners, and like in our timeline and the YouTube channel. And then another couple of pages with like features. So the idea is like, it's a Z fold where it's like there's a front and a back. But the problem is that this is supposed to be the back, right? So it didn't work. Now, the way that they printed it was they printed it as what's called a C fold. So this is like brochure design 101. There's a Z fold and a C fold. And so if it's a C fold, it folds in on itself, kind of like a little booklet. And this is how the printer produced it, right? So it was a C fold where it's like you open it up like this, but you see the problem when you open it up like this. This is supposed to be the front, right? So I have 250 of these brochures. It's like here's a sample set, and they all look like this. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow morning, as soon as I get on the floor, before people start coming in and getting all the way back to this section, I'm gonna be taking every single brochure that printed as this C fold and folding it into a Z fold where, actually, hold on a second. No, I'm not folding it into a, sorry, we're not doing Z fold. We're doing C fold, but we're doing a different C fold. So I'm basically reversing, I'm taking the current C fold and I'm reversing it so that I got the front end here. So this is the front. And then the back is going to be my bio and our partners. And then if they turn it, so they're going to open it like this, boom, there's the QR code. The QR code takes them to the homepage through a UTM link. So I know that I have this QR code is tagged. And then they'll see the timeline, they'll see the YouTube channel, then they'll open it up and they'll see the software. So it kind of works. It's not what it was designed to be. It's not how I intended it, but there hasn't been anything catastrophic going on, right? Thank you, Ali, for rooting for me. Yeah, C fold for C CrossFits. Yes, that's right. Nothing super catastrophic has happened, but it's like whatever. The pop-up sign got a little damaged. The HP monitor. So I was setting up. I put the box on the table. I open the box and the monitor falls out and hits the floor. I kind of broke its fall a little bit with my foot, and I recorded this as well. So like, again, I'm vlogging this whole thing. So you're going to get at the end of this, when it's all edited, you're going to get a vlog of this whole experience where I'm kind of bringing you along, which is great. I don't think any of these other exhibitors are giving anybody, and I don't think anybody else is vlogging their SBL experience, because I think for a lot of these companies, it's just routine. They have like marketing departments and they have staff that come here and do this stuff for them. That we are probably the smallest startup here. Like everybody else, I mean, most of the other people here are very well established, right? So yeah, everything's going pretty smooth. This is just a small hiccup. And, there's going to be a lot of downtime, right? So I'm going to be able to just sit there and fold those. And then here's another cool thing. We have, well, first of all, I just dropped them all. So we have obviously business cards, and then this. So this is courtesy of my wife, did a very good design on this. So this is a bookmark, a little QR code that has the New Testament grouping. So it has a little box for the Gospels and Acts, the Pauline epistles, Catholic and general epistles, and then Apocalypse of John. So it's basically just the book categories of the New Testament, so that, you know, use this bookmark. And you can use the bookmark for anything, but if you're using the bookmark for your Bible study, you have a little index that you can work with. And then the Old Testament Protestant version is right here. So it has the Pentateuch, historical, wisdom, poetry, major prophets, minor prophets, typical like Protestant breakdown, Protestant canon, 66 books. And we're working on developing we have designs for other versions, but the ones that I printed for SBL are all going to be this Protestant version, right? So I'm going to be trying to hand these out like candy. And, you know, now that I think about it, like, okay, so like, for example, take a look at this. So if you look across, so what does New York University Press have? They have their thing with the barcode, right? So I got that covered. But then look, they got the pens, and they got little hand sanitizers, and they got bowls of like candy and stuff. So so this is kind of like, you know, ideas for me. Now I don't have a lot of room. That's a problem. But I do have room for like a couple little bowls. Pens, I should have had pens, you know, but we got bookmarks. So we got bookmarks, we got pens. You know, and another person recommended something that is a really good idea. This is what I want to do. I want to go get a case of waters, because what I noticed is that like when you're, especially if you're an exhibitor, right? Like I got really thirsty after spending 6 hours like setting up this booth. And the reason it took 6 hours is because of like because of these easels. These easels were really hard to, I'm just like, couldn't figure out how to set them up. The carpet tile, it was kind of a nightmare. So it took me 6 hours. I set up, and I was super thirsty. And what I realized is that the only places you can drink water are these little dispensers that are like really far away. So one thing I'm thinking of doing is printing I have these little stickers here, and taking these stickers and putting them on water bottles, and then having a case of water on the table, and telling people to take them, and then having like, you know, little cross Bible stickers on the water bottles. That way it's like I'm giving something away other than these cool bookmarks. And these bookmarks will be available, by the way, to, like, you know, we're going to sell these in the Cross Bible Zazzle store. We don't have anything yet on the Cross Bible Zazzle store, but my wife is kind of taking over that project since she's a designer. So she's going to put all of these Protestant and Catholic. We're gonna make the Catholic and the Orthodox bookmarks available on the Zazzle store as well. And just so you know, the reason why you need different bookmarks, if you're not aware, for, you know, your Catholic and your Orthodox Bibles, obviously, because the Old Testament bookmark is a lot longer. So we had to condense a lot more books, because they don't have the 66 Protestant books. They have you know, the Apocrypha. They have the Deuterocanonical books. So you know, and eventually I think, you know, I want to make these available in foreign languages as well. I would love to see a version of this. That would have been actually a good thing to bring to SBL, is a version of this bookmark that has everything in Greek, right? So all the names of the Greek New Testament books in Greek, and then but then it's like you need to use the Orthodox version for the Old Testament, because you need the names of the books of the Old Testament all in Greek. And that was what I was, you know, talking with Emmanuel Tove about this morning, was, you know, getting access to the data set that he used for the CCAT library, because he put together an amazing data set of Septuagint text, right? The text of the Septuagint for digital platforms. But there's some licensing I got to work out, because Accordance Bible Software, which is down the street, you know, down the hall, they have you know, a license for that. So I don't know, we may have to like figure out some arrangement of what we can use. And there is a data set that's in the public domain that I could use, but you know, Emmanuel Tove seems to be inclined to do some kind of a deal. He was like, "You're a businessman," you know. I was like, "Okay, yeah, we could do business." So So yeah, business cards, bookmarks, brochures, and that's what I got on my table. And then tomorrow, maybe early in the morning, I just got to find a case of waters. I think that's a really good idea. Waters with like branded stickers on it. Clipboard with a sign-up sheet to get emails. Sign-up sheet. Yeah, I mean, I kind of don't imagine somebody standing at my table signing up. I mean, the best thing for them to do would be to scan that QR code. I mean, I guess it's just like, it's a little old-fashioned, right? If they do that. The thing that, you know, the more sort of futuristic version is for them to come up, scan the QR code I have right there, and then that's going to take them to a landing page that then will get them to the registration form. And then if they register, then then their email is, they can opt into our email list, and I track that through SBL. So I think, yeah, it's the only kind. Yeah, so I think, yeah, it's old-fashioned. Look around. I mean, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, if you see, there are some tables that might have people like giving, you know, there is maybe a certain segment of the crowd that would want to sign up. But then it's like, even if people give me their email addresses to sign them up, I would still have to like kind of they need to get into the system somehow, right? Like, and they need to input their own information, because when you register for Cross Bible, and if you're not registered, make sure you go to Cross Bible. Let me give you the link right now, crossbible.com/register. So if you're not already registered, it is free. You can register for free. And really the thing that's going to make this, this event worthwhile, like the KPI, like the key performance indicator of whether or not SBL was worth this investment to like be here for the next 3 days, is how many people are going to register from this event, right? I'm tracking that. So I'm going to see, is it going to be 5 people, or is it going to be 50 people? Is it going to be 500 people? I don't know. So if it's not very many, then okay, that means that I mean, there's got to be some reason, like all, Accordance and like all these Bible software platforms are here. So it seems like the logic is, if it's worth it for them to invest in this, it's probably worth it for me to invest in it. But I really don't know yet. It's like, this is where I'm the new kid on the block. There's like, everyone around me are like all very well established companies, for as far as I can tell. Maybe there are a few other ones that are in a similar situation. So for me, this is like a really, experimental thing. So I'm gonna track this, and I'm gonna see like what my numbers are from what kind of exposure, what does this exposure give me? Does it get, what's going to be the cohort that comes in and registers after this? And I'm doing, a little bit of a marketing campaign on this. So this is really like kind of, I wouldn't say make or break, right? Like if nobody signs up after this, it's it's like, it's not going to tank us, but it's going to be an indication that this is not the right venue, right? And the other thing is, so I do this all the time, dude. Fishbowl, yeah, drop business cards. Oh yeah, a big giveaway. The giveaway analog engagement is huge for startups. Yeah, you're right. The giveaway idea is really good. So like a fishbowl to drop business cards for a giveaway. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would be great. A fishbowl. So drop your business cards. So what's the giveaway though? It's like a free subscription. I mean, I'm already doing like a promo for people here, like 1 month free. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay, fishbowl with business cards. That's a really creative way to get business cards, right? Instead of just like asking them to do it. Yeah, fishbowl with business cards. Because I actually, what I brought is like a Sharpie and little stickers for like improvised things. So I could, yes. So yeah, case of waters, stickers with brands in the with the branding on the water. So like, so basically, if they come by my booth and it's not that memorable, but then they're like really thirsty and they're like, ooh, water, thanks. And they go around and they drink the water. I think it just keeps the brand in their hand like a little bit longer, and before it hits the trash can. You know, the cross, it says Cross Bible. So so that's one idea. Fishbowl with business cards, love that. Wall chart prize. Yeah. Well, okay. Yes. I don't know why I'm like, I know why I'm struggling, because I haven't eaten all day and I'm exhausted, but yes, basically, that's my giveaway. And I do have a ton of these, and that's another thing that I'm wondering about is I put in my suitcase. So what I realized is I got a box, right? And it was like a, I don't know, like a 10-inch by 10-inch box, rectangular. So what I did was I rolled up a poster, dropped it in the box, let go of it, and it expanded to the edges. So I just kept doing that, like rolling it up and expanding and rolling it up and expanding, and then rolling it up really tight and expanding. And I don't know how many I got in that box, but it was a heavy box. I mean, I had a heavy suitcase to get here. And they're not all here, though. They're back in the hotel room, but I'm bringing them tomorrow. So I got at least a few dozen of those of my posters, and I'm selling them at like a 15% like discount, you know, basically 20 bucks a pop, not 30. They're 35 on the website, but if you buy them here at SBL, it's 20 bucks, you know, cash, whatever, Zelle, Venmo. And you can also use like the website to check out like you know, a sort of pseudo point of sale system. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to sell these, because frankly, like, I mean, if I could sell all of those posters here at SBL, like if people were in my concern, my theory is that I probably will hardly sell any posters, because who's going to put the poster like in their suitcase and let it get ruined? I think if I can roll it up tight enough with a few rubber bands, technically you should be able to put it in the corner of your suitcase just fine. But you know, like, it's easier to transport books from a trade show than it is, you know, a poster. But I can always offer to ship them to people. You know, like, I guess honor the discount here, but ship them. I don't know, but I like the idea of fishbowl for business cards, and then, you know, a free giveaway, and then you just pull a business card out, or, you know, like, I don't know, three giveaways. I'll just you know, I'll let them know that, hey, you've won. You won one of our timeline, you know, our timeline posters. So the timeline posters over here, and then here I have my Greek pronunciation poster, which is just not a bestseller, right? Like, I've sold maybe 2 or 3 of those. It's just you know, it's our work. It's on display. So people will pass by the booth and they'll be like, "Ooh, what's that?" You know, this one is less visibility because it's like behind my my pop-up sign. So there, and what I know is that I'm going to have to take that and bring it forward to show people who are like, "What does that say?" I've already spoken, like, yesterday. So yesterday I went to the ETS the ETS conference, and I jumped on a few people, like, so there's a New Testament textual critic named Peter Gurry, Dr. Peter Gurry, who he's in the bibliography for this thing, and he, you know, I told him about this and told him to come by my booth. So I told a lot of people that I met who, some people were not going to, a lot of people that went to the Evangelical Theological Society conference, the ETS conference that happened a few days ago. It was right before this one at the Marriott down the street. A lot of those people, when I asked them, like, are you going to SBL? They were like, no, we're not, you know. So it's, my theory was that if I went to, if in terms of picking which place to go, I chose SBL rather than, hold on 1 second, I'm gonna take a call. Hey, can I call you back? All right, I'll call you back. So I'm meeting up with my friend in Boston tonight for dinner. So what I decided was this was the conference. This was the conference I was going to go to, because this is the more liberal, you know, kind of, I don't know. This is the more scholarly venue. The ETS conference is more for, like, you know, believing, you know, conservative evangelical Christians, because it's the Evangelical Theological Society. And you know, and even, like, okay, I was speaking with Bill Mounts, who's like a big you know, he wrote a textbook on biblical Greek. He's like a big Greek influence. You know, he has a very, you know, I think it's why am I not remembering the textbook? It's on our recommended reading page. So Bill Mounce's textbook, Intro to Biblical Greek, I think it is, or the basics of Back to the Basics of Biblical Greek. His comment when I asked him, I was like, "Are you going?" Because I wanted people to just come to my booth at SBL. So I didn't attend ETS. I didn't have a badge. I just walked through the lobby and just approached people that I know, or, you know, who are like influential or people I follow, and asked them, you know, will you be coming to SBL? And a lot of them were saying no, and you know, and so Bill told me that Bill Mounce told me, yeah, I'm not. And because I told him that I was going to SBL because I assumed that a lot of people from ETS were going to come to SBL. And he said that may have been the case 10 years ago, but there's basically been a rift, and the ETS crowd no longer, like a big portion of them just leave after ETS and do not stick around for the SBL conference. And he said, and he said, you should have been exhibiting at the ETS conference because the ETS crowd, we're the ones who believe that it's true. Like, you know, like both of these conferences are conferences that are focused on the Bible, but in his opinion, the ETS conference is for the people who believe the Bible is true, and the SBL conference, by implication, is for people who do not believe it's true. Now, I think there are plenty of Christians who are at this conference, and there are plenty of people who go on from the ETS conference to the SBL conference, but it is like a pretty stark, like, you know, contrast, even like in the crowd. And I covered this in the vlog. So in the vlog, I'm taking you guys through the ETS conference, you know, just like with my handheld thing, it's a little shaky. And I'm going to show you guys like you're going to see ETS, and then you're going to see SBL, and it's different. I'm actually, because I'm posted at my booth, I probably won't be doing as much sort of walkthrough coverage of the SBL conference, unless I can have somebody posted here for a little bit while I do that. So that there's a few questions in the chat. Let's see, who was, oh, so yeah, what was the conversation like with Dr. Ruck? You know, I mean, Dr. Ruck is a very, you know, old, soft-spoken gentleman. His house is very interesting. He's been in that house for many, many decades. It's like an old style house on this, like, you know, little peninsula in a small, in Hull. It's like a small town. It's almost like an island. And so, you know, it looks like, you know, his house, it looks just like it's hand built. Probably, you know, doesn't stay that warm in the really cold winter. It's like paper thin walls, and just like, you know, it reminded me a lot of my grandfather's house, where it's just every shelf, every space is covered in souvenirs, like little statues, like little things, like, you know, you could imagine that there's probably like a story behind each one. And he has this like really nice piano. Like when I came to visit, he was like playing piano. He was playing Bach. You know, he's interesting. He has these like super long fingers, and so like when he plays, like he has like this really massive reach. And yeah, like I just wanted to learn more about him, and you know, I got like some background on his you know, understanding of you know, background on his education, and you know, and he mentioned that so the obviously we talked about different people who have derived from his work. Like, so the names that came up were obviously, you know, Dr. Amin Hillman, and then what's the guy, Brian Murarescu, right? So, you know, Brian Murarescu cites Carl Ruck, Dr. Hillman cites Carl Ruck. And, you know, as most people probably know, you know, Carl Ruck was like, you know, pretty supportive of both of them early on, because it's like, okay, these people are interested in my work. You know, he does a lot of work in you know, ancient, you know, drug use, and, you know, entheogenic drug use, you know, like in religious context. And so, you know, he's on you know, I can't, there's certain things that need to remain confidential, but you know, in my personal experience, I have, you know, been asked by a lot of people that are in my circle to evaluate the work of both Brian Murarescu and Dr. Amin Hillman. And, you know, obviously people who are, you know, familiar with the channel, they know that, you know, Amin told me he plays Litz every day. He plays a lot. Yeah, he has a pretty decent collection of sheet music that he plays on his piano. It's really remarkable guy. And so the person who works for him, who's like his assistant and sort of takes him around and does a lot of things. He has a couple of people who help him. And the interesting thing is he said that Carl Ruck is like Chat GPT, which I thought was brilliant. He's like, basically, like, you ask him something and he spits out an answer like out of the blue with tons of detail and citations, and just like he's like a walking encyclopedia if you're asking him something that's in his domain, right? Obviously. But I thought that imagery was really interesting. So yeah, there are people who I guess have drawn from his work to build upon it in their own work and cited him, but then sort of gone off the rails and brought his name into a lot of other sort of ideas that he really can't vouch for. And so specifically with regard to Brian Murarescu, he was interested in what my thoughts were, because there are people who have asked me, what's your opinion of Amon Hillman? What's your opinion of Amon Hillman? And then people ask me, what's your opinion of Brian Murarescu? Because they both get into Greek stuff and people know that I'm interested in Greek stuff. And I actually had my notes on Brian Murarescu's Immortality Key pulled up on my phone because I have them in my notepad. And I haven't done a hit piece or anything. I haven't done an expose on my feedback on Brian Murarescu. And it sounds to me like if I did, he would probably like sue me or whoever does it, because he's very litigious. And also in the same thing with Dr. Ruck, right? Like Dr. Ruck is even though he has his criticisms of Brian Murarescu sues people to shut them up if they don't like what he's doing. Apparently that's what I'm hearing through the grapevine. And he also is not like he doesn't want to go on podcasts that aren't, like he's very selective about who he talks to. And so I read through my feedback on the Immortality Key with Ruck, and he agreed with a lot of my critiques of there are certain things, like there are citations of ancient Greek texts, like there's a citation of Dioscorides that Murarescu cites that doesn't match the standard edition of Dioscorides. It looks like he took a word out. He mispronounces things, like he pronounces the word moria, which means silliness. He pronounces it as Moira, which, I mean, the guy did an undergrad in Greek, so I got, it's like, fine. I know I'm like kind of I'm a stickler on pronunciation, and that's not very fair sometimes. But like, if you're hanging your hat on that word for your theory, you should probably pronounce it like Moria instead of Moira, right? Like just it's he has some issues with Greek, obviously. And I do the same thing, like, I think the same thing with Amon Hillman. Like, if you're going to build your whole theory on, 3 words, like leistes and, what are the other words that he mispronounces? Sindone, like, with the stress. Like, it's not that I am just, Brian is a lawyer. That's right. It's nobody coming to talk to you. Yeah, nobody's coming to talk to me because nobody is here. So you are getting, I should have called it this is the after hours SBL live stream. This is when literally I'm the only one who set up his booth, plugged everything in, and immediately like proceeded to do a live stream. So no other YouTubers or aspiring YouTubers are on the SBL floor doing live streams, but that's pretty funny. Yeah, nobody's talking to me. So yeah, Brian Murarescu is a lawyer who did an undergraduate in classics, I guess what was it, Berkeley or Brown, I think Brown. And he makes a lot of rookie mistakes. And it's like, okay, he also, Brian Murarescu cited Dennis MacDonald for his work on, Dionysus and the Dionysian Gospel, and also didn't really do a good job, made some mistakes that Dennis MacDonald was not too happy about. So I went through my takedown of Murarescu with Ruck yesterday. And the interesting thing is, like, okay, so the word moria means silliness. And so there's a passage in Paul where he refers to skandalon, which is where we get our word scandal, right? The neuter, skandalon and moria. And so he talks about, and it was like this 1 Corinthians, not coming off the top of my head, but basically when Brian Murarescu says that when those words are used, they actually are referring to drugs. And I took that down as in my notes as something that seemed highly dubious. Apparently, it comes from Carl Ruck. So Carl explained to me, yeah, that actually comes from my work, and he's like, I could explain it. So it's like whatever. I still think it's dubious, but if it did, it's coming from Carl Ruck. So it's at least like it's not that's. I was able to clarify in my notes that that's not something that like Brian necessarily pulled out of thin air. And there were some other things. Well, Carl Ruck doesn't actually believe that Jesus existed, right? He's a mythicist. And I prodded him a little bit on that because I was interested in what his sort of brand of mythicism is. Like, why don't you believe, Jesus was historic? And I pressed him a little bit. I didn't want to I'm not busting the guy's balls here, but like I told him, what do you make of Paul? And this is sort of typically what I want to get feedback from people if they tell me they're a mythicist. It's like, okay, so his Carl Ruck's theory is that the Christian Eucharist, at least at some point, contained that it's a continuation of an older pagan practice of ritualistically consuming a deity. And so that his idea, I'm not like saying, so I'm not promoting it, I'm just saying like that's his idea. And we have records that at some point in the later church, like there were Christians who were putting some kind of substances, like it wasn't just wine, right? They were adding something to the wine. And Paul makes a very interesting comment at one point and says that there are people who are improperly doing the Eucharist and who are dying from it, right? And he uses the word sleep, kimume, to say that they're dying, and that's a euphemism for dying, right? So Brian Murerescu makes a huge deal out of this and says like it's the word, like he says that basically Brian Murerescu strawmans the common reading of this passage in Paul, and he did this on Joe Rogan. If you watch his interview with Joe Rogan, pay attention to this. He says that word typically is translated as sleep, kimume, or koi mumai, right? That it's typically translated as sleep. But Brian Murerescu discovered America. Like he discovered that, this is actually the word for this implies death. So I don't know if Brian Murerescu is really genuinely ignorant, and that's like, does he really not know that the euphemism for death, by saying somebody went to sleep as a euphemism for they died, does he really not know that most people who have a semester or two of Greek under their belt like realize that? Like that's not a like amazing fact, like, but he stunned Joe Rogan with this, like this word actually means die. So that's a little silly, but the theory behind that is that if Christians in Paul's day were dying as a result of improper consumption of the Eucharist, what the heck was in their wine, right? Like, what were they doing? And also we were talking with Ruck about the production of wine, because he's also done a lot of research into this, because Brian Murerescu denies the fact that alcohol was actually produced in antiquity. So he says there's no Greek word for getting drunk, even though methio or methuo, right? Like that means getting drunk. He says there's no word for getting drunk. He says there's no word for ethyl alcohol, which is true. Like it is questionable whether or not the Greeks had a term for the alcohol that was like, the ethyl alcohol contents of what they were drinking. But this was something that, that Carl Ruck and I discussed a little bit, is that like, the scholarship behind winemaking in antiquity, and how we know basically through the archaeology and the study, the anthropology, that basically when the Greeks made wine, the wine that they made was actually like, it was pretty potent. It was like their winemaking process yielded a wine that was higher proof than the kind of wine that our modern winemaking process makes. And so the Greeks would typically dilute their wine when they would serve it like at a symposium. They didn't, if they just drank it neat, they'd get really wasted. So they were diluting the wine. And so this may play into some of this of like, I don't know, maybe what was Paul referring to? Why were people dying from taking the Eucharist. And maybe they were just like, maybe it was alcohol poisoning, like they were getting super, you know, it was like they were just hammering like it was like vodka. But Murescu's theory is that it wasn't because there were you know, he basically denies that the winemaking process resulted in alcohol, that it was actually just they were adding something into the wine. Like it was basically grape juice plus DMT or something, and that they were getting, you know, they were tripping off of it. So that's an example of something that like Carl Ruck was not in agreement with, and I'm not in agreement with either. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Really proud of me. Oh, thank you, Zach. And you know, and I hope you know, the idea of vlogging this for you guys is just to like, you know, give you the perspective of, you know, somebody like just, oh man, like, you know, if you ever, you know, want to like, you know, dream big and, you know, do something that you're, you know, you don't know whether or not you're going to succeed, but you're just going to go ahead and, you know, it's like take a leap of faith and just do it. That's basically what I'm doing here. Cause I don't know, I normally don't have performance anxiety. Like I've been a performer my whole life. I was a dancer and an actor, and like I've been on stage a lot. So it's not just performing. It was just getting everything organized. Like, because I also have a lot of production management experience. So, but with production management, you're delegating, right? You got all these people doing all this stuff for you. So for me, it was just like, it was so daunting to get all of this stuff organized, and then set up. And so I think now it's the easy. Now I have to coast. So like I've like climbed up to the top, and now I got to slide down and just and you know, just sit here, try not to lose my voice. This is going to be the toughest thing. I'm already losing my voice in the live stream, right? Like I don't know, I'm not utilizing proper vocal technique. I need to work on that. I need to like get my voice proper. I need to project properly, because I can tell you that like my neighbors, like there's going to be a lot of noise that I'm going to have to cut through in this like right now I hear an echo of myself. I'm the only one talking in this whole auditorium with a few exceptions. So I'm going to have to cut through all the background noise to talk to people who are going to be like, you know, 5 feet away, you know, looking at my monitor or whatever. And yeah, I'm going to need that case of waters, and I'm going to need like cough drops or something, like, you know, tea with honey. And that's the thing, is like, there's nobody to like sit in my place. Like I don't have staff. So, I mean, even if I have to go to the bathroom, I got to just like play a demo on repeat in my monitor and like run back. Like I don't, you know, for 3 days straight, I am posted here and can't go anywhere and can't do anything. And yeah, so I need to make sure I have plenty of stuff to drink. Like, you know, I mean, like so people, this is why I want to give people water, right? Like I want to bring enough water for myself, and I want to bring enough water to give away, because like this little cup came from like the water dispenser. It's like a really long distance away. So I was like, you know, if I don't get water for tomorrow, like this is what I'm going to be dealing with, and, you know, dealing with my, you know, projection. And like, I have to preserve my voice right now. Like, I mean, doing software demos is pretty second nature. It's fine. I can just like, you know, I'll play with Cross Bible and it'll be mirrored on this screen, and people will come and look at it and you know, it'll be nice like that. That's demoing the software is no problem. The software is working really, really great. We got a lot of cool new features. I hope people are signing up, you know, sign up for that $5 a month tier and just play around with it, get on Discord, give us your feedback. I mean, the normal stuff. Like this video, you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. It's a great live stream. A bit of a surprise when if Mark Goodacre dancing to ABBA. Mark Goodacre gave me an endorsement. Actually, he was very very nice. He gave me an endorsement that's going to be featured on the new Cross Bible updated homepage that my developer's working on. I checked in with him today to be like, when is the homepage going to be ready? And he said no promises, but he's trying to get it out by tomorrow. But Mark Goodacre is one of the people who gave me an endorsement for the homepage, so he's going to be on there with his name and his picture and his endorsement. And I emailed him to give him another reminder to stop by my booth, so he's going to be here. So he's going to come say hi. yeah, it's going to be like, I'm going to be totally starstruck. You know, there's going to be lots of sort of celebrities in the biblical studies community coming by my booth. I'll try to get, you know, as many photo ops as I can and get more endorsements. I'd love to get, you know, people like to agree to endorse, you know, I want to get an endorsement from Emmanuel Tove. He was very, it's funny, like it was almost like he didn't even, he knows about accordance. He has like a deal with accordance. So accordance has access to this data pipeline that he built. But the whole idea of web-based Bible study software, like I told, you know, I told Bart Ehrman about it, and he was there with Chris, like with his assistant, and they were thinking, you know, he told Chris, he was like, how many of our users, you know, because they have a Bible study platform that could potentially, you know, be, you know, an affiliate. And he was like, how many users do you think we have who are who might be interested in online Bible study software? And I'm like, I don't know, probably not very many. But it's just like, you know, you gotta, you have to build the audience. And, you know, I just told him what I normally tell people is like, it may be just like the heated seats in your car. You know, it's a thing that if you don't know you need until you start using it, and you're like, oh wow. I think, and you know, another thing is like, one of the angles with Cross Bible is like, once you start really using it to the full extent, when you sign up and you start, you know, bookmarking and highlighting and taking notes, that's something that, like, once you've left your own sort of trail, you know, you've customized everything and you've taken all these notes, and, you know, then you're like kind of attached to it. You know, you can cancel your subscription, you can pause it, you know, take a break if you don't, you know, if you can't pay for it, but you can always come back to it because it has everything in there. And I found that in other Bible study softwares, like, you know, I also, like, I have, from the days of before Cross Bible, I also have, like, I have notes on, you know, platforms that shall not be named, that I then have to go and like get those notes off of there. And so really it's just a matter of like, oh, and the dashboard. So we're working on a dashboard feature. It hasn't been released yet, but one thing I noticed is that sometimes I'll do a live stream and I'll take notes in the live stream, but those are sort of notes that I want in Cross Bible for that particular occasion. And I don't necessarily want to, like, you know, like, I want to get rid of them basically. But what I realized is that currently, if you want to get rid of a note, you have to like open up the side panel, go to your notes, go to edit. And then from the edit menu, that's where you can delete your note. But what I'm working on now is a dashboard where you're going to go to your dashboard and you just have one page that's your notes, your highlights, and your bookmarks, not in that order. And then from there, you can jump to them. So you just have them all in one place, you know, so you're not digging through the Bible for them. So I'm going to be showcasing the dashboard here at SBL. And one thing that I realized is that we need to have a delete button next to them in the dashboard. And you also, like, what if, for example, you take a bunch of notes and then you realize that it's all cluttered and you want to just start from scratch and wipe the slate clean? There should be just like a way to select like a little checkbox, right? That then checks all your notes on the dashboard. Then you hit a delete button, boom, you clear the slate and you start from scratch, right? Maybe you want to do that. So that's the, you know, that's the way the dashboard's shaping up. Glad you're set up. Prepare to be bothered by me in person. You've been warned. Yes, yes. Aaron Adair, the one and only, is going to be stopping by my booth. So thank you, Aaron, for all your support and for being a good Patreon supporter as well. Do you have an iPad so you could leave people, schedule a meeting with you later? Like a reservation clipboard. I don't know. I mean, it's not that the clipboard's old school, but making a reservation for a call. I mean, maybe like a Zoom call or something like that. I don't know. I like the idea of the fishbowl for the business cards. It's definitely going to be a good way to, you know, to get in touch with people. But haven't thought about. I don't have an iPad. I was thinking also about this monitor. It probably behooves me to figure out how to mirror my iPhone screen to my computer screen to then put that on the monitor to show them the mobile version. I don't know how to do that, and I haven't looked into it, but you know, now that I think about it, your comment of the iPad got my gears turning, that maybe what I need is a way to demo the mobile version, because I'm going to be demoing exclusively the browser version. But you know what? I can also just take my browser and make it like that, and then it's going to show up similar to the, you know, very similar to the phone. So maybe that's a little overkill. But I can also just show them I have the phone. I can just show them on the phone. So that what happens, what happens if Amon Hillman comes by? Yeah, because he definitely attends SBL. Do I show him cross Bible? And that's the thing. This is the thing, people. My enemies can use cross Bible, right? Like this is the irony. Yeah, I use my phone fast, but the laptop and PC. Yeah, I really like using cross Bible on the phone. I don't like it. I don't add more than 2 versions. I always keep, I keep it limited to 2 versions. And right now, if you're on your phone and you go to Cross Bible, you can add that 3rd version and you can add the 4th version, but it just, like I don't have a mechanism to prevent people from doing that on the phone, right? So if you do it on the phone, you be warned. So the thing is that like I have a lot of enemies now online. I've pissed off a few people, and the irony is that depending on how things go with further discussions with Emmanuel Tove, and like, I'm working right now on a strategy to basically just blow up our support for the Septuagint. I want Cross Bible to be the #1 place that you would want to go if you want to dig into the latest and greatest versions of the Septuagint, compare them side by side, use the Septuagint when you're cross-referencing from the New Testament, because most platforms don't do that. Most platforms, when you're reading the New Testament, you're looking at quotations of the Old Testament in that translation that you're reading, which is most of the time going to be from the Masoretic text. It's broken. Like the Bible publishing system is broken in how it does cross-referencing. So this is one of the visions behind Cross Bible, is like get a platform that actually cross-references in the Septuagint and then gives you English translations of the Septuagint. And the NETS translation is the one I want to get, but it's going to cost a lot of money. So I want Cross Bible to be the place that if you're into the Septuagint, that's where you're going to go to use it. And so it's ironic that that there's this cult of people that's obsessed with the Septuagint and think that it's the original version of the Bible, and that those people probably hate my guts and they hate my platform, and they don't like the fact that I'm so mean to their cult leader, and they're not gonna use Cross Bible because of that. Even though Cross Bible is eventually going to be like the #1 place that you're going to want to go to learn to read the Septuagint. And then recently, I did okay, having an iPad's good if you want to demonstrate it and if someone's walking by and waiting. Yeah, it would be good to have an iPad. So my last live stream, I had Derek on, and it was, Derek and I just wanted to figure out like, okay, how can I get him on the channel to sort of bring his audience over and talk about something that he and I could chat about. So we chose to talk about this Israel-only cult, right? And I'm sorry if that sounds derogatory, but it seems pretty culty to me. This Israel-only group, this little group of people, and it's not a big group of people. And I can tell you why it's not a big group of people, because when I bring Derek Lambert from Myth Vision Podcast onto my podcast to talk about it, a lot of people just don't find it very interesting. It's just too niche. It's just super fringe group of people nobody's ever heard of, and all of them come and watch it, but all of them is like a few dozen people. Like basically, like that was a flop. Like that live stream was probably the worst performing live stream I've ever had in terms of views and watch hours. It was almost a waste of time. It was just like, Derek and I did not feel, it was not what we had hoped to come out of a co-live stream. Also because, just so everybody is aware, Cross Bible is a Christian platform. I'm a Christian, and I bring people onto my channel that may not share my views, and that's okay. And I know it creates a lot of confusion in the chat, because people have this sort of perception that like, oh, okay, so if it's a Christian platform, that means you're only going to platform other Christians, right? You're going to like create a Christian echo chamber. That's the MO. No, I'm not doing that, right? So like, I'm going to bring Neil on, I'm going to bring Derek on, I'm trying to get Stephen Boyce on the channel, right? Like, I mean, I don't get a lot of people on my channel in general. I mostly do this just sort of, I'm the only person on. But if I have someone on my channel who expresses something, I mean, look, I would like for my guests to be on their best behavior. And I think, you know, when Neil comes on, he kind of understands that he needs to be put a filter on, right? Like I don't use expletives on this channel. Like I don't want somebody coming on my channel and cursing a whole lot, right? I don't, you know, like I keep it clean, keep it PG-13. Derek, you know, Derek was sharing his own personal experience and his own personal views that I don't share, right? Like I don't necessarily agree. Like if I have someone on my channel and they're giving their opinion, just because I'm listening to it politely and not rebuking and correcting them, it doesn't mean that I necessarily share their opinion, right? But I had people not just unsubscribing after the last live stream. I had people like emailing me, withdrawing their support, you know, like no more, like canceling their subscription. I had somebody ask me to completely delete their data because of something that Derek said that offended them. So I'm sorry, like if this is you know, if that's your position, then yeah, you can unsubscribe and not support me, and like that's fine. Because I'm going to have guests that are going to have different opinions. I'm going to have scholars that have different opinions, and I will try, like, you know, the lesson learned is like, yeah, I did scold Derek a little bit for this. I mean, you just gotta like keep it, you know, like keep it under control. You know, like he understands that, you know, like he said like, oh, you know, Christians are just like allergic to me, and I get it. But I want to have an audience that is balanced. In my response to that guy was like, hey, you know, Christ didn't come to heal the you know, the healthy, right? Like there is some benefit in having an open arena of ideas. I mean, I have to you know, moderate the chat a little bit, right? Like I got to make sure people are being nice and getting along. But that's really the goal. Like I want Cross Bible to be a platform where Protestants can study the Bible, where there are resources for Catholic and Orthodox Christians. We got the deuterocanonical books, right? We you know, it's non-denominational. And that also means that, you know, skeptics and people that are agnostic and atheist and whatever, you know, you can be a Satan worshiper or an Ammonite, and you can come use my platform. You know, Amon Hillman is welcome to use Cross Bible, right? And all of the Israel only guys who are yeah, Cross Bible's canceled. There, yeah, people just already like, they just want to rush to cancel me because I had Derek Lambert on my channel. Sorry, Derek's a friend. So like, yeah, I have friends that don't share my beliefs, and somehow we manage to get along, and that's fine. You know, I might have a Republican on my channel. I might have a Democrat on my channel. I might have, you know, people with different views on my channel. Yay for the deuterocanonical, right? Like deuterocanonical books are cool. Like you should be open to like having them. They're like the great historical books. I mean, like, you know, the entire tradition of Hanukkah is based on like the story and that's documented in Maccabees, right? So like, why not? So it's the I'm an East Coast, not and I get it straight. So yeah, that was not a very popular stream, and I was really hoping that all of the Israel only advocates would, you know, show up in force and really like, you know, and what ends up happening is it's really like, it's like a dozen people who come on to, and they do reaction videos. So there's already been a few like refutations of it. And there's already, you know, and the comments, I will say though, that even though that video had the lowest amount of views and watch hours of any video I've ever put out, because there just aren't enough, like, if every single Ammonite in the, it's not Ammonite, sorry, if every single IOer in the universe watches that video twice, I'm gonna get like, you know, 50 views, right? It's just so fringe. And it's like, you know, and it's like, look, I blame them. I do blame them for being such a fringe movement, because if they're so unpersuasive, their arguments are so bad, their system is so ridiculous that they just can't persuade enough people to join, right? So what they do is they create fake accounts, and they like go and they like make it look like there are more people than there actually are. You know, yeah. I'm wrapping up. Yeah, I'm wrapping up. So anyways, they're kicking me out. So the message I have, like, if you want to have some fun, look at the comments under last week's live stream. It's the lowest performing live stream I've ever done with the most amount of comments. It's like over 150 comments now. of people, of all those IOers just getting wrapped, you know, and the thing is, like, they feed on the attention, right? So I have now inspired them to make response videos and go in and like and comment and like, man, you know, like they copy and paste like these long lists of talking points. And a few of them I'm just not engaging with at all. I'm sorry. A few of them I'm just like just go away. Go back to your Facebook group. I don't even want to deal with, like, because they're just obnoxious. They copy and paste like long lists of like, you got to disprove all this stuff to, like, you know, to disprove IO. And like they do this 24/7. Like they eat, sleep, and breathe IO. So it's like there's no reason for me to like go out of my way to like participate. Like it's just feeding this monster. Like I want, like, if you're an IOer and you're listening to this, just like, if you really are genuinely curious, fine, like go leave a comment, ask me what I think about something. There's one guy right now in the comments that I will continue the discussion with, but I'm just like, you know, I'm an SBL dude. Like I don't have time to sit there all day and just respond to your IO talking points, right? Like it's just like, I have better things to do. I'm sorry. And that's what they want. They want to drag you into the comments for a back and forth that will basically last. They have nothing but time on their hands, and their intention is just to sort of drag you through it. And like, I'm not playing that game. I'm sorry. I did the episode with Derek. It was called Debunking IO. We didn't really debunk IO because we talked, it was just very chatty, and, you know, we spent like 50 minutes going over cross Bible, and I get it. It was like, you know, wasn't really the best performance. I could do a stream dedicated to really debunking IO, but I'm not going to, because ultimately what we realized is like, it's just not worth it. It's just, it encourages them, and it's like, they don't need the attention and the encouragement. That's it. Like that's the last piece I'm going to do on IO. I will do pieces on biblically related topics that will be tangential to IO, but I'm not addressing them anymore. They can go pound sand. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining. Yeah, the preterists are kicking me out. Yeah, everybody's kicking me out. Ripping this video to absolute shreds, point by point. Yeah. So please rip my videos to shreds. I really invite everybody to please rip my videos to shreds, because I really need the watch hours. So if you could, I would really appreciate it if people would make response videos to my videos and just let them run from beginning to end the whole time, because like I walked away from that live stream yesterday with negative views, right? Because for every hour I get from a new video for like this live stream, I lose like 5 hours from my content that's like over a year old, right? So that was like, really, that was a dud. I'll probably get more views from this than I did from that one. So thank you very much to everybody for joining tonight and for supporting, for wishing me luck on at SBL. I will try to have fun. And like I said, I'm not hoping to get the big bucks from this. I'm hoping to get registered users. That's the important thing. I don't make any money from registered users. It's good to get, to build the audience. So thanks everyone. And I hope to do another one of these soon. Maybe from the showroom floor, but probably not. Maybe the last day. All right. See everybody later. Bye.